Good evening, everyone. Good evening, good evening.
Good evening.
I hope we are all having a wonderful week. I do not wish to join those who are complaining about this lovely weather. I know most of us came from the lovely Caribbean and like myself, South America, and a few others from other Africa and all these other lovely places. So this is what we are accustomed to in some ways. So we're not going to join those who are complaining for this lovely weather and then start complaining again in the next 2 weeks, in the next couple of months when we're having the snow. So we need to decide which one we like. Okay. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm hoping that you are enjoying the sun, because especially for us with our dark skin, we need to take in as much of this sun that we can for now, because we don't know when again our skin are going to be exposed to this love. Well done, Isaac. Well done. So with that in mind, can we please allow me to approach the throne of grace and ask the Lord's guidance? Let's pray. Heavenly Father, it is indeed a wonderful pleasure where we can come to your throne and to offer up praise and thanks for the wonderful things you have done, the things you are doing. And God, you said, eyes have not seen or ears heard, neither has it entered into the hearts of men the things that you have in store for us. And Lord, I had my times when I'm squeezing to think beyond what John wrote in Revelation about the new heaven and the new earth. And it hurts that I can't reach to that place. However, I'm looking forward with anticipation for those days when I'm going to walk on streets of gold and I'm going to feast on milk and honey, and I'm going to be able to rub the head of a lion without being fearful.
Amen.
I thank you, Lord, for the wonderful weather we've had for the past couple of weeks. And I know some people are celebrating while some are mourning, and some are crying out for difference. There are people in pain. There are people in mental illness. There are people with all kinds of illness right now are crying out for your help. And today, as we approach this very serious topic, I ask, oh God, that you would help us to put forward information that would help somebody to come closer to their families, closer to you. And as we wrap up this program today, oh God, may hearts be touched and men and women come closer to each other, understanding what we require of each other. In your precious name, I pray and ask for thanksgiving.
Amen.
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 Amen. Thank you, Leonard. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Ladies, gentlemen, here we are. The finale. To all of those that are watching the live, thank you for joining us throughout the series. We've appreciated your commentary. We've appreciated your support. Just going to give some one apology that I know of. Our dear friend Rolando will not be joining us today, but he's been an amazing part of this series. So we just want to give him thanks to himself and his family as well. And those that, are on their way, they'll be here soon. Yes, go ahead, sir.
Sister Baldo would not be here either.
All right, Sister Baldo as well. Thank you very much, Leonard. So yeah, we just want to give thanks to Sister Baldo as well as Rolando. And then we'll have more people joining us on the way. So, gents, we've got a question for you. And really, I'm going to come straight to you, sir.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. So good evening, firstly. And I will come straight to you asking, did the presence of your child, so I believe you got 3 kids, right?
That's correct, yes.
Right, thank you. So did the presence of your children, particularly the first child, alter your relationship with your lovely wife? And if it did, how so?
Oh, that's a good question. I think when the children came along, yes, the dynamics of our relationship changed slightly. Whereas in the beginning, it was just the two of us. If we need to wake up and have a lay-in, it's not a problem. Want to go out in the middle of the night, it's not a problem. Go for a walk. As soon as the children come, all of that changed.
Right.
Again, I talked a little bit about being selfish before. We were selfish together, I guess. When children come now, we can't do those things that we were doing before. We had to plan everything. We can't get up and go to the shop or go out. So, late nights weren't as much or frequent as before. It probably didn't happen. No, it probably didn't happen for the first few years. So the dynamics of our relationships changed a lot. But it evolved as well.
Say again, sorry?
But it evolved as well because, you know, it's a new chapter in our relationship together. It's what we wanted. And so we tackled things together.
Right. Off the back of what you said, would you say that things have started to go back to what they were before? In the sense of, you know, you said that it started to evolve and the dynamics did change. But would you say now that, you know, you've got 3 kids, you're a lot more experienced, would you say that things have started to go back to how, to some degree?
I mean, to some degree, I mean, we can, you know, get someone to look after the kids and spend some time to go out, which is nice. But, you know, we do a lot of things together now as a family, which we, you know, always plan to do things together as a family. So whether it be a day out in a park or, you know, going somewhere nice, we do family activities. So I don't think we'll ever go back to how it was before.
Yeah, for sure.
And we appreciate the time now together. So, yeah.
I got you. Thank you. Melvin, sir, what about for you? Same question.
Well, there's always going to be a little change somewhere along the line. You know, the things that we've always done things together. I've never really done anything except go to work without us, my wife involved. But of course, you know, there's things that I had that we used to do together. We couldn't do it all the time anymore because, of course, there's a little one there. One have to be on guard, so to speak, and so on. But we still did a lot of things together. Go driving out in the country together with the little one and have a little picnic. And I would say it didn't, in terms of my relationship with my wife, it never altered significantly enough to even count it, to be honest, you know.
Yeah.
So I can, you know, honestly say it didn't really.
Respect to that. I appreciate that. Leonard, I'm going to ask you the exact same question. So did the presence of your child alter your relationship with your child's mother?
Oh, boy. Okay. In some ways, well, when my son came, from the very first day, my son, it's sad to say that my ex and I never had a very tight bond. We always had a space in between us. She's not the kind of person that do things the way I do. Like, for instance, I'm a very touchy person. I like being huggy and touchy, and that's not her.
Yeah.
Okay. And when my son came, he latched on to me from the very first day.
Right.
The only thing he goes to his mom for is for feeding.
Yeah.
Other than that, he's with me all the time. Every night he slept on my chest for 1 year. The first year, until we sadly had to part some ways for a couple of months. So
right.
that was my comfort. And I mean, we became a little bit closer to each other because that's the only way she can actually get to play with him, is she had to play with him while he's with me. And I don't, for those people from Brixton who know me from Brixton Church, they know my son is happy to communicate with you while he was in my hand. And that's what he did with his mom also. He would only play with her while he's in my hand. If she tried to take him, except for feeding, there was a problem. So yeah, wow. It kind of bring us together.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay, it's interesting. Different dynamic with yours. And I guess yours and mine is different as well, because like obviously everyone heard my story on series number 2, where it's a bit unfortunate. And I would say that the presence of my child did alter the relationship with my ex, my daughter's mum. Only because like everyone knows, we wasn't together, and you know, I had made it clear before. Well, when I ended the relationship in March, and then she got pregnant in September, that you know we wasn't going to be together. I made that clear that, like, yes, we've got a baby on the way, but I'll be a father, I'll be a dad, but we won't get back together. And it was fine throughout the pregnancy, but then when baby came along, things started to change. So when Anaya was here, my ex was being a particular way towards me, unkind. And when Anaya was growing up, so throughout year 1, 2, 3 of her life, she's 5 now. I saw her last when she was 3 years young. I could only see Anaya. She goes by the name of Laurel, but I could only see Anaya when my ex wanted me to, as well as that, I could only see Anaya if my ex believed that there will be a future between us two, right? So obviously what I'm alluding to is using a child as a tool, so to speak. So I'm just giving awareness that that's never okay. That's never an okay thing. Fathers, mothers, obviously we need to be the best versions of ourselves. We need to raise the awareness that these things aren't okay. These things are never cool. Of course, if for whatever reasons based on health, if you need to keep a person away from your child, you do everything you can. But if it's not for those reasons, don't pick and choose when the other, if you two have separated and you need to co-parent, don't pick and choose when it's okay for baby to see either parent, because it's not fair on the child. Irrespective of the adult, it's the child that you need to be caring about. So that's what I would like to say. Yeah.
One thing I wanted to add as well is the hormones. The hormones were much more evident as well when baby came.
I mean, you get daggers right now. You get daggers right now, but be careful.
Fine. I mean, I would hold my hands up and say that I wasn't able to handle the emotional turmoil that my body was going through, and that everything was heightened, and so there was a lot of misunderstanding.
What I don't understand when the women say these things is like, you guys had all these preparation. We never had none.
What preparation, Leonard? What preparation?
You talk with your mom, you talk with your aunt, and they tell you all these things about what happened during pregnancy. Anybody telling us something about that, really?
I wouldn't agree with that statement. I don't think there's anything that prepares you for motherhood at all.
You still have those conversations, though.
It doesn't matter how much somebody says something to you until you get to that stage. That's the only time you're able to deal with it. And everybody's experiences are completely different. So some people might have postnatal depression, some people may not. And so I feel like when a child comes into the equation, that a relationship between the couple has to be really solidified, because it can really break down. I would say that it was at that point our honeymoon ended.
I still sticking with what I said, and I want to hear what Natalie have to say. Natalie, come on, let me hear you.
So I didn't
you've been gunning for me since I made my statement. So come on.
Definitely not gunning for you, but I don't agree with that statement, because I didn't get any schooling and I was pregnant at 17. So I won't even go into what my mum said when I was pregnant at 17. that's for a different time. But before I even started, when I started to menstruate, my mum's advice was stay away from boys. That was my sex education.
Follow the instructions of your mum.
Sorry? What does that mean? So I would go to school and be like, oh no, I can't talk to you. Oh no, I can't talk to you. That's not sex education. That's not sex education. I don't know what that is, but that's not sex education. So my mum didn't sit me down and do the birds and the bees. She was very hands-on. When I got pregnant, she was very much, this is not happening. You're on your own. But then when my baby came, come on, let's go to town. What do you need? Let me buy you this. You need this, you need that. So her tone completely changed. But to sit me down and to have that conversation with me about what motherhood was like, that never took place.
Okay. Anybody else disagree with my statement? Please say it now or forever hold your peace.
Yes, Leonard, I disagree with you.
Why?
I wasn't prepared for motherhood myself. You know, I know my mom did tell me about menstruation, and if I do gonna have sex, I will get pregnant. But I remember when I was talking to my two girls and dad, and my mom, it wasn't like we were standing together. We weren't hugging up or anything. And it just the top side of my house. And my mom came and she gave me one box. I see a blinky, everything. And she was like, oh, you standing talking to the boy. And you know what she does? She drive me nearer to the boy. That I rebel by going more closer. She couldn't stop me because I was so upset that she boxed me in front of the guy, and I felt so embarrassed. But she pushed me further to him, and so sometimes us as parents, we took things the wrong way. And my mom was like that, and she would say, "Oh, you don't have an ambition," and blah blah. And when I got pregnant, now, then everything she said, "Oh, you don't have no ambition. I sent you to school." But after the baby come, it's like everybody was happy. She was over here at the time in England, so she sent baby clothes and everything. So, and I had a strong family support, so I didn't really have to wonder what to do next because I have a really strong family support that time when I had my first child.
Anybody else disagree with me? Because I'm sure there's not only the two of them disagree with me.
Leonard, make your statement again, please.
No, because listen. How do I put this? Now, yes, please. Tell them that you were told and you were preparing for this since you started reading those books as a little girl. Go on, sister. I know that's what you're going to say.
No, I didn't get your question. I was asking what your question was. I can't remember what you asked.
No, the question, what was your question, Isaac? Repeat your question.
So the question that I asked was, did the presence of your child alter the relationship between yourself and the child's mother? So I asked that to the fathers. And then Leonard, you said what?
I said, women should be prepared for this. They had the talk.
But we weren't.
I strongly believe that you had the talk. Somebody told you, you know what? This is what happens. You spoke with your mom, especially if you're a big sister or a senior sister. You've spoken with your aunts. You've read your books. So you should have been prepared for this, isn't it, sister? Go on, tell them.
I like the questions that you asked, where you are saying, did the arrival of the baby, alter in the relationship? And now listening to what the others have said, I actually put a few points here, which you said, for example, you mentioned yes, it did change, some things. So what helps, when you talk about things which changed, of course, you might not say on this panel, but, when you, as a couple, you are in the house and you start saying, definitely there are few things that change. You need to be specific as to look at what is it that has changed.
Yep.
For example, before the baby came, you kind of tabulate and said, okay, before the baby came into the house, this is what we used to do. Mm-hmm. And then when the baby came, this is what changed. So that it becomes easier for you to say, how come this has changed? What is it that has caused it to change? So you must also realize that, even if you never had a premarital counseling, you find that the way you're going to portray fatherhood will be the expectations of maybe what you had. For example, I come from an African culture whereby when a girl becomes of age, she's put in the house. And they teach her all sorts of things of how, to run home, all that kind of stuff. And then before you even get married, You know, the girl is again put in the house. She's taught how to run her home. And the man is also put in another place where the men will talk to him and prepare him for fatherhood. But then, so when you get into the home again, it's something whereby where the man is coming from, where the girl is coming from, and how to bring up the child. So the important thing is for the two of you to say, look, this is the way we were living before the baby came. So what is it that is different? What is it that has changed? If you used to go to the park every day at 6 o'clock, now that the baby is in the house and 6 o'clock is the time when the baby has to go to sleep, then you are able to identify that to say what has changed here is that 6 o'clock we used to go to the park, and this is what we used to do when we went to the park. It used to help our mental state because we used to sit by the trees and we used to enjoy the walks and the breeze, but now we have to be in the house. So when you have to be in the house, what has changed? Has your mental state changed, the fact that you are in the house? So those are some of the things whereby when you say things change, you have to be specific. You might not say it on this platform, but those are the things when you are together as a couple, you start asking yourselves to say, what is it that has changed? Then it becomes easier to reflect.
Okay. Before you go, boys. So, sister, what you're saying, we've left Africa and we came to different parts of the world. When we were packing our baggage, we leave those things back in Africa. Is that what you're saying?
No, we don't.
We came here without those qualities because those things are not happening anymore. It's obvious. Did you hear what those young ladies had to say just now? Go on, Isaac.
No. Before I go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
All I wanted to say, in addition to what Chris said, when you've got an extra baggage in the home before you were two, the center of attraction becomes that piece of baggage. You have the addition to the family. So you all have to pull together. You understand? To maintain, the person that you have that addition in the home. So it might be difficult for a man to say, oh, I don't like changing nappies. I don't like doing this. There's some of the things that maybe your wife used to do. As a man, you have to come on board to assist her while she's there also to assist you. So that, in a way, will cement that relationship more so because now you have to pay attention to that extra person who has come in between you. That's all I can say.
Okay.
Right. And Leonard, I'll jump in now, right? And thank you for that input. Now, the reason why, Leonard, I knew where you was coming from, right? I knew where you was coming from, right? And I was listening to it, and it was interesting to hear the answers, right, from the men, what they said, and then when it was interesting when you said what you said, Leonard, how the ladies reacted to it, how they were triggered by what you said and reacted to it, right? And I totally agree to some aspects of what you're saying, but I also do agree with what the ladies are saying. You can never ever be prepared for parenthood. That's a fact. I've got one child. Even if I had 5, every single child will be a new experience. So you can't ever prepare. Yeah, you might prepare in terms of the nappies and stuff, but you don't know the temperament of your child. You don't know when they're going to wake up at nighttime. You don't know all of these things, right? So these factors, cool, you can never prepare for, right? So I agree with what the ladies were saying there in that factor. But Leonard, hear this. I do 100% agree with where you're coming from. And because the fact of the matter is, this is why I've kept saying, and my own personal mantra has been, we need to be the educators for the next generation, rather than taking on to the next generation what's happened to us. We need to change the narrative, and we need to bring back the practices that worked, right? So a practice that worked, for instance, exactly what we just now heard. Ladies were in the home being taught how to be mothers, women, men were in the home being taught how to be fathers, men. These practices, more so for the men, have gone out of the window. Why? Like you said, Leonard, the point of these things were happening in Africa. We got taken over to the Caribbean, and then when we're in the Caribbean, did we leave these skills back home? Did we leave them in Africa? Because it's almost as if to say, to some degree, yeah. And I'm not saying it's just the Caribbeans that have done that, because some Africans still too, some British still too, right? But my point I'm making is I 100% agree with what I've heard from the feedback from different points, and I'm glad you said what you said. But one thing I would say is this, on the compromise of the addition of the baby, which we just heard, I think one thing we need to take into consideration is, of course, when a baby is born, certain things are going to go, out of the window in terms of how you wanted them to be before and how you was used to them. But we need to learn to, as best we can, to work to making those things still factor in, because your husband still needs love and your wife still needs love. Yes, baby needs love, but if you negate your partner, resentment can build. And we need to not do that. We need to make sure we still love on our partners. Welcome, Roger. Thank you for joining us, sir. Thank you. I see you.
All right. Thank you very much for that, Isaac.
Melvin wanted to say. Melvin
wanted to say something. Yeah.
You're on mute, Melvin.
Like that. Your turn coming.
What I was going to say is that we also have to look at the fact that the impact that child will have on the relationship between the mother and father, it can be subjective, depends on the person's attitude. Yeah. Because for a typical example, when my son came along, it's not that he was greedy, but he just will not take enough. So every couple of hours, he had to be fed. So there were a whole lot of time being spent focused on him. And some men will see that as being neglected, you see. Whereas I begin to feel sorry for my wife. And that will make me, feel more sympathetic and closer to her. So even though mother might say, listen, this will happen if you play with boys at a certain age, they will never really experience the true experience of having that child until it actually comes, because we don't know what is going to happen and the nature of how that child would be. We didn't know that. We'd have preferred if he had been greedy and full his belly and go to sleep, where we could have a little time together. But no, he was always, every few hours he was up looking for grub. And of course, that's still the time
what time you want together, Brother Melvin?
And so, as I said, some men, we see that as they're not having any, can't get time together and things like that. So it all depends on the person.
I wonder why you keep saying some men, Brother Melvin.
Well, because I tell you why.
You're saying he's being greedy.
Sorry for my wife, actually.
Taking all your time, but still you're saying.
For her.
But still you're saying some men.
Getting enough sleep.
Okay.
Sometimes she'd be very tired. You see, and I couldn't replace it. I couldn't replace her in this capacity. So all I could do is felt so sorry for her. That's why I said some men, because I do know someone who actually is quite an older person, but
I think the statement you're looking for is we men, not some men. So you're part of it.
I was not included.
Welcome, Brother Roger. Listen, involve you in this question. How has fatherhood, what did the presence of your child alter your relationship with your child's mom? If yes, how so?
Is that one from Elen?
Yes, Roger.
All right. Okay. I started just picking up some of, what's going on since I joined in from what Melvin was saying there. And I could hear, he was coming to that when his child started breastfeeding, it was a bit of an issue. And as fathers, I think, most of us have gone through it. For me, it takes a lot to adjust to. it was a big thing for me to adjust to that, because then it was the two of us, well, to be honest with you, not long, because we got married and our son was born the following year. So we only had a few months, I was quite busy, yeah. So, but I mean, the time we spent together, we get used to each other. And then all of a sudden, there's this new person in the mix, taking over all the attention. And, at night he would be crying and all that, and all the attention. The thing I was frustrated over the most, I think, was waking up when I want to sleep, and that robbed me of my time of rest, and to the fact that quality time with the wife as well was being robbed, because when you want to explore, certain assets, baby has to be taken care of with those assets. And then, you didn't have your quality time as much as you want to. But then, I learned to adapt. I learned to adjust and adapt. Because,
oh boy,
I learned to adapt now. I learned to adapt and adjust and sort of, work with the program. But I mean, it was, something that takes get used into in the first place. So, I mean, after a while, you start to work on it and you're able to go through it and all that. So, okay. That was the experience for me.
Thank you very much, Roger. Now, I want to ask a quick question before we go over to the next question. I want to button a little question that quickly, and if you guys just give me a minute or a couple of seconds answer on this one. Would you have acted differently in regards to what Brother Melvin and Brother Roger said concerning quality time, and Roger even said explore? Would you have acted differently if you had the preparation information like Brother Maluba was speaking about? Had you had that information? Well, these are the things that are going to happen, and at this time, this is going to happen. Would you have dealt with that situation differently? 1 minute, couple seconds each, quickly, if you can.
I think that's a difficult question, because your reaction is your reaction. There's the times where you're just not in the mood. Like, don't touch me, I want to sleep, I'm tired. So your reaction is going to be your reaction. And you just have you seen what I'm looking like? I've got sick here, and especially if your partner's a visual person. So if it's visual, he's going to be wanting you to look all great, and you don't feel like you want to go and do all of your hair. And no, it's your reaction's your reaction. So I feel like, what could you have done differently? I'm not in the mood. I'm tired. If you can breastfeed this child, you're welcome to.
Can I just come in here? To the second question which you asked. Now, for us to answer the second question, we could have looked as what could we have done before we come to the second question. Because, what happens is we are kind of like focusing now on our mental state. When we plan, even when we decide to say we want to get married, it's just like, when you go to university, it's amazing how we prepare ourselves when we go to uni. We want to make sure that, we get all the information we need, we get all the books that we need, so that we are mentally prepared. We even choose the university that we want to go to. So it's the same thing, in a marriage relationship. You have to make sure that once you get together and then you agree to say we are planning to have a child, how many children are we going to have, if we are going to have one? And then when you get together as husband and wife, and then you agree to say, are we going to have our child this year? And if one of you say, oh no, maybe we need to wait another 2 years, then it's already affecting the mental state of the other to find out as to why is my partner saying, let's wait. Is there some mental issues that is why she's scared or he's scared of having a child? And then when you come to an agreement, the planning needs to happen just, before the wife even gets pregnant. It's something which you need to discuss. It's something where you might even need to buy books, something which you might even need to read together to say, okay, what are the preparations of us having a child? What are some of the expectations? And then when the wife gets pregnant, just when she goes to the hospital and then they do the pregnancy test and then she's found that she's pregnant, you start preparing yourselves, the two of you as a couple. And we were talking about to say what happens when a child comes. You're not talking about immediately the wife gets pregnant. You see that's in the uterus, not when the baby comes out. The way the mother behaves, if you two are fighting while the woman is pregnant, if she's not eating right, and this is even biblical. In the Bible, we are told, like when when the mother got pregnant, the angel came and said, don't let him have strong drink. We know about John the Baptist. He was told not to have strong drink. How has been the diet? How have you two, stayed together? Have you been talking to each other? What type of music you listen? What type of food? All that preparation, for the baby while it's still in utero. And even when the baby is born, what are some of the things that you've been telling yourself? Like in our days, we never had scans where, we knew it is a girl or it's a boy. We just used to have the baby come out, oh, it's a boy. There are some women or some men, when the baby is born, they exclaim, oh, I wanted a girl. It has a mental effect. You get surprised, some of them, I'm sorry to say this on this platform, I know there's others who are listening on YouTube or FaceTime, whatever they're answering. We've had cases whereby just because of the exclamation of the mother or the father, some of them have turned out to have, some unusual sex lifestyle because they kind of like were rejected as being a girl or being a boy. And then as the child is growing, what is it that you have discussed? So this is something where it's not when the baby comes, is as the woman is pregnant, the preparation has a mental effect on the child and on both of you. So the preparations has to start early before even the baby is born.
Thank you very much for that, Sister Krista. Melvin, before you go, I don't want us to jump ahead of the questions. We have questions that are going to encourage you to answer what Sister just said. What I actually wanted to know is from you guys that mentioned the child robbed you of your time. What I wanted to hear from you actually is, had you had that information? Someone told you, well, listen, when your wife gets pregnant or when that baby comes, the time that you're accustomed to, you're not going to have anymore. There are going to be weeks passing that you're not going to be having to, like Brother Roger said, investigate or survey the land. Those actions would not be permitted for you for a while. Were you told that? Do you think you would have acted differently when that time came? And do you think now you would not have been saying the child robbed you of your time because you would have been prepared for it?
I wondered actually, could anybody really tell you exactly what will happen when that child turn up on the scene?
Not exactly, but listen, you're not going to get your stuff. Yes. For a couple of months, couple of weeks, it's not going to be normal.
Well, yeah.
You're going to get it when you get it, but not when you want it.
Yes, but we have looked at the fact that there's certain things that occur that no one would have known it would happen, right? I didn't know I was going to lose some time because of a child that decided that they're going to have a little bit here and a little bit there. You know what I'm saying? You see, I'm looking at the fact that no one could tell me that. But I had, through my mental maturity, able to deal with the issue and look beyond me and look at the interest of my wife and the baby. So my reaction from that was derived from that, rather, so that I was able to deal with it in that way, and no one could have prepared me for that.
Brother Roger, Brother Melvin, is your wife close to you?
I could get her.
The way you answering this question is as though she's right there, and you just gotta say the right thing.
No, you hear that, folks? Have you heard that? This Leonard here, we're gonna have to censor him because.
Brother Relly, you want to say something? I saw you edging forward to the screen, to the mic.
I was just listening, but I think you're right. No one can actually prepare you for that, and I don't recall anyone ever telling me that. That's going to happen. My time will be gone. But obviously, as you prepare for things, you do realize that your time will change, and the priority will be the child. But no one ever told me that time is gone. But also, only physically as well. You might be up for it, and mentally as well. Right now you've just had the baby, you've gone through that trauma, and I don't want anyone near me. Right? It's true. It's true. So
after some while of being together, you can talk for that.
Brother Leonard.
Yes.
Can I say, I don't think really and truly we can say or start worrying about where we told to say when your wife has given birth, you'll be denied of, that sexual relationship or whatever. I think one is biblical. Back home, like the culture where we come from, when a child is born, normally the wife would be sent to her parents maybe for 2 to 3 months.
Yeah.
And it's biblical as well. That gives the woman enough time to recuperate and get herself together.
Yeah.
So there's no sexual contact or whatever you want to call it. So really and truly, it's something that, a man should be mentally prepared about. I don't know about, the Western culture and whatever, but that is something which happens. And it's biblical as well. I don't know if I'm talking about the question which is put forward here.
I'm happy to
Is that why in the continent there are men that have multiple wives? So when one's gone down, the other one's there to fill in the shoes.
Well, Rosanda,
Rosanda, you see what you did to the elder?
That is Abraham.
Words. Without further ado, I'm gonna jump right into the next question. I wish we had more time to just, cause I know Rosanda, what you just said there is another topic. Trust me. You see the way you had the elder, he was like,
Leonard.
How do I answer that question? Anyway, second question. What I want to know what would you want your wife, your child's mom to know about your journey as a father, and how can they assist you in becoming a better father? What do you want them to know about your journey as a father, and how can they assist you to become a better father, in becoming a better father?
Too late for me now.
Never too late.
I see Rolly getting some tips. You better care for what you say now, Rolly. You better care for what you say. I can see you. Don't threaten him, please. Anyone?
Okay, Leonard. What would I want my daughter's mother to know about my journey, and how would I want her to better assist? To realize that I matter, to realize that this journey isn't hers alone, to realize that just because she, by natural default is the one who carried baby, it doesn't then by default mean that she's more important, bar feeding, of course, than the father. At the end of the day, it's about us being selfless to ensure the best outcome of baby, not about us being selfish because what we want as a parent. Many a times I've witnessed, you know, personally, as well as through what I've seen other parents where I couldn't hold my own daughter until her mum said I could hold Anaya. And it was just like, hold on, she's our child. Like, you're not feeding her.
Yes.
And you've had her throughout the whole day. In fact, I've been at work and I've come over to yours, and, you know, I would like to be able to bond with our child, you know. I've witnessed fathers being dictated to when they can hold the baby, and it's like, here you go, hold. And even in the past, like whether it be at church or wherever, sometimes how I've seen that exchange, like when mother's a bit tired now, she's like almost, obviously not literally, but almost throwing the child at the father as if to say, do your job now. And it's like, no, my job's not now when you're tired. My job should be anytime. I've got a good friend who does Manting podcast with me, and he shared one time that he was changing the nappy, and this is their first child, you know, him and his wife's first child. And when he was changing the nappy, his lovely wife was trying to tell him how to change the nappy, and he was just like, no, don't do that. Like, if I'm going to learn, I'm going to learn. If I'm going to make mistakes, I need to learn from my mistakes. She is our first child. You're no more of a parent than I am, basically. You know, you're no more of a mother than I am a father. This experience is our experience, and it's our first experience. So, you know, for me, I would just say, for mothers to realize that us men are also fathers. And for my own personal, obviously it's a bit late now, but for my own personal, to realize, for my ex to realize that I have this journey, and this journey shouldn't be dictated by you. We should have worked together. We should have, obviously in the construct of our relationship, co-parented to the best outcome for our daughter. Not for what I wanted, not for what she wanted, but for what's best for baby.
Yes. Mm.
But you see, this is where communication comes in. Sorry, Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Chrissy.
This is where the communication comes in. Because, I mean, for example, like here now, the father is trying to, to change the nappy, and then the mother comes and said, I want to show you. So instead of reacting, the two of them could communicate and say, look, this is our first baby. Just as much as, we are both learning, I also want to learn on how to do it, unless it's something which is going to cause harm to the baby. But if it's something that we are also learning, give me time as well. So it's really a journey together of, learning. Because, I mean, as we mentioned in the beginning, which I like your questions, which you are asking, both of them are traumatized at the birth of a child. Because there's so much, that you are told, that you have read. But when that experience happens, it's a miracle of God. But when that experience happens, it's such a surprise, something which, you can't even explain. So the woman is going through all these hormonal periods at the time when the baby is born. The woman is learning how to breastfeed. The father is also learning how to be a father. So both of them, if they feel they are struggling, and, we thank God that this country, we've got all these, health visitors who come to visit, and as you can ask questions. But it's a journey where both of them can talk. So instead of reacting in a different way, the two of them can communicate. Otherwise, if they don't, of course, it will again affect their psychological and mental state.
Thank you very much for that, Sister Chrissy.
Just quickly, sorry, Leonard. Yeah, and what you said is what happened. He did communicate with her, and she did respect his communication, and she allowed him to learn for himself. So in that situation, 100%, and yeah, I agree with you.
I feel like it's a mother's natural instinct, though, to take control. It's not that we feel like you're not capable. I feel like it's just our natural instinct that we automatically think that we can do a better job. I have been quite fortunate with both of my children's dads. My second daughter's dad, he was very much involved in everything. And I was quite, if I could give him the best for him to breastfeed, I would have gladly have done it because he would have. But obviously that wasn't possible. But he was very hands-on. If I'm up in the night, he was up. Whatever he could do, he was there. And I like what Sister Chrissy is saying about the communication, because I feel sometimes that falls by the wayside. We're not communicating as much as we could or as much as we should. And I don't know if that's because of our own understanding, that we feel that, okay, this is my role and I'm going to do my role. And then if I hand this over to you, you're crossing into my territory. So I don't know if it's an education thing, like you were saying, Isaac, that we need that re-educating.
Okay.
Natalie, that is exactly what I'm saying. And I respect your honesty as well by saying that as mothers, sometimes you think that you naturally can do it better. And whilst that might be your mindsets as mothers, I think you need to also unlearn to relearn that narrative needs to change, because it does affect us fathers. Like, it affected me. I know other fathers that it has affected as well. And it's something that, especially if it's your first child as well. I mean, to be honest, for me, it's even irrelevant if it's your second, third, fourth child. Ultimately, the father still matters. But most importantly, the child matters more than you as the mother, me as the father. It's about the child. And it is about communicating, and it's about being selfless, irrespective of how you want to do things. As long as, like Krista said, as long as it's not to the detriment of health in a holistic view of the child, let parents be parents.
Okay, thank you very much, Isaac. I you know, one of the things in all these programs that we've had, Isaac, I always wish that there were a possibility that the mom of your child had the opportunity to hear your concerns. And like I always say to you, I said to you from the first program, if it was possible to have recordings of this program and just keep them there, and so that your daughter can see the fight, so that she would see that in all the time that you weren't there is not by your choice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks,
brother Roger, brother Roland, brother Marvin, what do you want? I wouldn't say Brother Melvin that much, because you telling her that now, she'd be like, what am I supposed to do with that information now?
That's correct.
Because you gone back to that stage where it's just you alone again. Yes.
That's right.
So this question is not for you, Roland. No. Really, do you have anything you would want your wife to know? Don't worry, she can't do anything online. We're watching. Anything you would want her to know about your journey, and what can she do to make you that better father? I know you're doing a great job, and there's not much that she can do to make you you at that place where there's nothing more. But if there's anything, just share that with us.
No, you're right. You know, Rose is an amazing mum. She's done a great job. And I can't really think of much. I mean, the only thing that sort of hit home was what Isaac had said in terms of, you know, I am the father just as well as you're the mother. And yes, you have that bond, you carry the baby, but, you know, don't, you know, downplay my role, because, you know, I'm the father and I will do everything I can and will do for the baby. So there was a inkling to say, you know, I'm the mother, let me do this, you know, I will do this, you know, I could do it better maybe, or, and there are certain things like with my daughter, you know, being born, I don't know, I wasn't comfortable changing the nappy. I was like, how do I clean it properly, you know? And got direction from my wife to do that. So there are certain things that I wasn't, you know, fully equipped to do. And, you know, she was able to help me. And even the advice from the midwives as well, the health visitors, they were all very invaluable and important as well. But yeah, no, just to be open to listen to our ideas and opinions as well.
Okay. Raj, you have anything to add to us?
Well, for me, really, I was sort of thrown into a little further position even before I started having children, because before I started of my home, I had, you know, nieces and nephews.
You're on mute, Roger.
Go on unmute, Raj.
Are you hearing me now?
Yeah.
Yes, Raj.
Yes, I was saying before I even start fathering my own children, I had the privilege of, playing a father role to nieces and nephews that's coming up. So, nappy changing and all of that stuff, I had a little experience on these things before I even become a father. But when I became, father, it was like, a 50-50, myself and my wife, we would take care of the different things together. Sometimes she'll be tired, she wants to sleep, and I will take care of feeding, cleaning the baby, putting the baby to sleep and all that. I remember I used to come in late from work, and then as soon as I get home, then it was my turn. She just gone to sleep, and whatever needs to be done for the baby, that was my job. So sometimes I'll be up late trying to get that baby to sleep and do all of that. So that was my experience, really. And it's good because Isaac make a point there that's very valid, and Leonard even commented it that when it comes on to parent, it's both parents 100%. It's not necessary that one knows how to do it better than the other. So automatically, the mom have to do this or that. I think it needs to be, an equal approach, and everybody learn as they go along, how to do this, how not, because all of us going to make mistakes. We ain't going to get it right. There is no one grand book on parenting method. That's the most authentic book that everybody has to go to. I know that every parent learn to be parent as they go along. Some get thrown in the deep end, and before you know it, they have to figure their way out of it. So, I think when both parents equally, take on the roles and try to assist each other, complement each other, that's the way to go there.
Can I just say something, Mr. Presenter?
You're mute.
Can I? Yeah, I just wanted to come in. I think very much, brother.
Sister Chrissy?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on.
Before you go, I want to ask this question before you go. Because I know I was already planning to bring you in on this. So keep what you have, and then you're gonna just collaborate it with what I'm about to ask. Now, guys, have this affected you mentally in any way? That is the first question, and the second question. What do you think it has affected you mentally in any way? I want Sister Chrissy to come in with whatever she was going to come in with, and to also assist us with if you think it would have had a mental strain on you in any way. Thank
you. Leonard, I just felt at the time that I felt devalued. I felt devalued as a father, and evidently due to what came to pass with my situation, was the case ultimately. Obviously, as things went on, it definitely did affect my mental state because I had moments of being suicidal. I had moments where I actually literally went to take my life. Regarding suicide, I did seek out counseling, which I would advise to everyone. Definitely, if you're ever in a place of, depression, low moods, if you're noticing things that you used to partake in that were very good for your health, you've distanced yourself, you've just got into a dark place, way before it gets to any levels of like I did with suicide, please seek help. But yeah, it did. To answer your question, yes, it did definitely affect my mental state for sure.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, another thing I was going to add to that for me was, I don't know if it comes under mental health, but the lack of sleep was a really big issue for me. Dealing with the baby at night time and then waking up to go to work in the morning and then that pattern. And I just wasn't fully functional. It was very hard to deal with the day to day and, affecting your work to a point, maybe affecting how you might deal with other children in the house. I think There was one particular time I just came back. I was like, I can't see anyone. I just need to shut out, knock myself away because I was overwhelmed. Let's say it happened often, but it did happen.
Okay. Now this is not my department, so I will then, and that's why I wanted to ask this question first, so that Sister Chrissy can say what she was about to say and go straight into dealing with this part of the issue before I come over to the women with the very same question.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I saw in the chat they were saying, would you want to ask the women?
Sister Chrissy, that question was for you personally.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, do you want me to answer on what the men have?
Yes. Let's deal with the men and then we go over to the women. All right.
Yes.
It's up to you.
I'm glad that the men were able to express themselves, and also the brother, who expressed his really emotional state that he was in, and to really share. Thank you for sharing that. So what I wanted to say here is also, when baby come in the home and with all, there's lack of communication, we also look at the belief system. Okay, the belief system that both couples have, and what is the value system that they have. You could have come from different homes in terms of what you must have experienced. There are some people who came in a home whereby maybe in their family they experienced, childhood deaths. Maybe when babies were born, maybe there are some babies who had died, or maybe there are some family members who had lost loved ones, or some of them, they might have had situations whereby they were told that when you have the baby, this is what is expected of you. And then when the baby come in the home, those expectations that you have had are not there. And then now you start questioning yourself. So the mental state can actually be affected in such a state whereby, all these things can start coming up when you don't meet up to those expectations. So that's why we want to talk of self-care. Because before you got married, that was your first question, my brother, which you asked the men and the ladies to say. Before you got married, before you had your baby, how did you live? You had a good life. You had self-care. You spent quality time together. Maybe you went for walks. Maybe you went to spas and all that kind of stuff. You gave yourself self-care. So now that the baby has come, what has now happened? How do you take care of yourselves? Because if you don't, all these mental state issues can come up. So this is where now you find, of course, the men are saying maybe lack of sleep. They felt devalued. So when you start analyzing those, what was it that has led you to lack of sleep? Is it because you were scared that, if the baby went to sleep, the child might sleep in another way, that maybe the child, stop breathing? Maybe that's what you've heard in the news or you've read in the papers. Or is it because you were just tired? That's why you couldn't sleep? Like the brother who felt devalued, what was it that led him to feel that way? Was it his self-esteem that was affected, or his value system that was affected? That even led him to be suicidal. Was there any family unit that helped him to be around? And of course, he mentioned that counseling helped. So all those incorporating the self-care, the belief system, can lead to mental health effects if they are not dealt with as there's no self-care, and if there's no help as a community or as a family or social networking, all those can have that impact.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sister Chrissy. I'm very happy to have you here because I don't know how I would have been able to put a comma into the storm. With no further ado, I would like to bring our women in because I can see that I'm beginning to lose Natalie.
It's my battery.
Sister Polly,
I'm just
how are you doing, love?
I'm from church.
You okay? Sister Polly, you need to unmute yourself.
Sorry, yeah, I'm fine, Leonard. Yeah, I'm just listening to you guys.
You just listening. Is that why you didn't? I noticed earlier you wanted to say something to me when I made mention in the first question, but you decide to keep your attack because you realized that I had a lot of people on my side.
Yes.
I even had Sister Krista on my side, so you didn't bother to come in. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, ladies. The question I have for you: What do you want the fathers to know about your journey in motherhood, and how can us fathers assist you in becoming a better mother? I will be very much happy if I can have all of you coming in on this one, not at the same time, but giving us something upon this. I know all of you, and you really, you get set up. You didn't say much. You're gonna hear what she's gonna say now. Let's go. I can see she was pinching you, isn't it, Rolly?
For me, being a mother has been a really tiresome journey. It's been happy days and sometimes sad. But what I believe is that sometimes I think the father are a bit selfish, because even though you're there for the whole day with the baby, and because they went to work and they will come in and they will say they are tired and the baby not going to sleep, and you're trying, especially when they're teething and you just want the help, you're frustrated, and everything. And sometimes the dad will just say, oh, I'm just coming from work, I'm tired, and they just turn their back. So I think sometimes the dad is a bit selfish in that way, wherein we don't get that much help because they have to go to work and we are there for the whole day. We just need that little time out for ourselves, even though the baby might not want to sleep. So I think that going forward, the fathers can be more proactive in this way, helping the mothers, in the night, even though they're going to work the next day, they can say, at least I'm going to step a bit and see if I can settle the baby for you and let me have a little rest, because sometimes it can be very tiresome. It can even affect our mental status sometimes. And I want to say that I think the men should be hands-on on that. I know maybe some of them are doing it, I don't know, but that's my experience. Over the you're doing it now. Good. Yes. I experienced that. So I'm just letting you know that I think the men should be more proactive in this way, where they help us with the baby, especially at nights.
Okay.
For me, I would like to say to both of my children's fathers, thank you, first and foremost, especially with my second daughter, because my second daughter's an IVF baby, and he was there from the beginning right through. So I would just like to say thank you to him. And just to say, when we're talking, it's not necessarily that we're nagging. Because sometimes we can be expressing ourselves and the men tend to feel like we are nagging. Maybe it's the way that we're talking, maybe it's the terms that we're using, maybe there may be a little hint of aggression there that is misunderstood. So if we could really come to a point where open communication can develop, and what I'm saying is not deemed as me nagging, because I feel like for me that was one thing. I would be talking about how I'm feeling, and what I would get back is, you're always talking about your feelings. Yeah, because that's what I'm feeling. So I feel like sometimes he didn't necessarily have the understanding of what I was saying. I'm not sure how you develop understanding. I guess it's through more communication and being willing to listen and not jump down my throat if you hear something you don't necessarily agree with. If you don't agree with something that I'm saying, maybe find a different way that you can communicate that, because I feel like I can communicate. I'm quite happy to say I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that. I'm not trying to put any blame, saying, you're the reason why I'm feeling this, but just pay attention to what I am saying and maybe build effective communication from there. Because I feel for me, in my relationship, effective communication was a bit of a problem, because every time I would open my mouth, as I said, it was deemed that I was nagging, when it was just me trying to express what I was going through. I hope that makes sense.
Okay, yeah. So what I'm getting, what I want to clarify here, because I know what nagging is, and are you saying to me that every time he claimed that you were nagging, you were simply trying to explain yourself?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So he don't know what nagging is.
No, I don't know. I don't think it was nagging. Me saying.
So you never nagged. Are you saying you never nagged?
No, I'm not saying I've never nagged.
You were nagging.
No, I'm saying that I've never nagged, but I feel like if I'm telling you or I'm trying to express to you that I'm feeling something, that shouldn't be considered me nagging. I'm trying to explain to you that I'm feeling this type of way, and I'm trying to get you to understand maybe why I don't want you to touch me or why I'm a bit irritable because I am experiencing what I'm experiencing. That's not, I don't feel that that's nagging. Me trying to explain to you what I'm going through, I don't think that's nagging. I don't feel like it should be deemed as nagging.
Okay. All right.
You don't seem convinced, Leonard. It's like you want to say something.
Because listen,
it's like you're gunning for me, Leonard. It's like
listen, I've been in the medical field for a while, and as you know, the medical field, 90% women. Yeah, and I'm saying some of you can nag. I've had girlfriends. I had sisters. I have sisters. I have my mom. Some of you can nag. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to get into that. Some of you can nag. And you know what? And the funny thing is, it's funny enough that you said that. It has never been nagging. It's just you trying to explain yourself. And sometimes that could even mean you saying the same thing 5 times in the one sentence. You're saying the same thing 5 times in the one sentence. Like, you would be like, how could you? How could you? Like, really? How could you? And you haven't told me yet what happened. How could you really? And you don't understand what I'm saying. You haven't said anything yet. You really don't understand what I'm saying? You're looking at me as though you don't know what I'm saying. But babes, you haven't said anything yet. You're just asking me if I don't know what you're saying. So that is nagging. Anyway, sister, I'm not going to hold back, sister, from saying, Rosanda, please.
I would say.
Yeah, I know I was nagging.
I would say that my journey has been a massive learning curve. It's helped me to become selfless, caring, and wanting the best for the children in all areas. I would say that Rella, my husband, the father of my children, has been pretty awesome. And with each child, I guess the first child was the learning curve, and then after that, I think we kind of got into a stride. There's nothing really much I would ask of him because we share absolutely everything. Absolutely everything. When it comes down to changing the nappies, and me being at home during the maternity periods when the babies were quite young, I actually enjoyed it. But it was quite tiring towards the end, but then I would always make sure that knowing that he's coming home from a long day at work, I would always make sure that the house is on point and that there's dinner cooked for him. And so when he comes and I can actually have a little respite once he's finished eating, and he would like to spend time with the children. Mm-hmm. And that's the time when I used to take to have a little time for myself. And again, another thing that I really appreciated is like on a Sabbath, it was really difficult for me to get up and get to church early. I was tired, and because I have health issues as well, that used to have an effect on me, not necessarily in parenting, but in terms of how my performance. So I needed like time out. And when they were old enough, when they were when they weren't breastfeeding, he used to take them to church, and that used to be my time. So there's nothing really much I can say, really. I think I've enjoyed I enjoy with its ups and downs. But it's been great.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, thank you, Rosanda, for that. I'll be nice to comment before we close. I know we're finishing in 15 minutes. The sisters who shared about the nagging, one thing as couples we must be aware is that giving birth is labor. That's why it's called labor. And when somebody goes into labor, it means the body goes through some emotional distress and some changes. So just as much as it happens to the women, the men, which of course in this country the men are in labor or in the labor room, whereas in Africa they normally don't. They are waiting outside. So both of them get traumatized to see, especially if you're not in the medical field. That's kind of like a scary thing. And then when you come home, which I mentioned already, that communication is key. So I like the presenter, the way he said it, to say when you are explaining to your spouse, to say, don't you understand what I'm going through? He doesn't. He definitely doesn't. So what we need to do is to actually explain, because we go through those emotional changes, hormonal changes. We've got all these hormones which are taking place. Sometimes women, you find they become tearful, and all these sleepless nights, and also the fear of how to bring up the baby, all that for both of you. So the key thing which we did mention earlier on is, of course, to communicate, to say, listen, this is how I'm going through, and to actually be specific. If you are feeling tired, you say, I'm feeling tired. If you feel, the first 6 weeks, the body is still adjusting itself. When a woman gives birth, the first 6 weeks, you don't have to have any sexual relationships, because the woman is still bleeding and the body is still adjusting itself to come to its normal state. Men need to understand that. If they don't, you as the woman, I hope you go to the postnatal clinics together, where you could be taught that let the woman's body, heal, before you have your sexual relations. Because sometimes the men gets frustrated to say you're taking too long or you're just giving excuses. And then it becomes So that is the other point. So be specific. Just explain exactly how you are feeling. If you need help in any way, to say, look, you do this. Let's have this time. Okay, me, I'll sleep for 2 hours. You sleep this. Let's do things together. Now, self-care, which I want to end up with, is very, very important. Because, when you have self-care, it helps with your mental state. So what are some of the things that you can do together when you feel all stressed out, babies are crying, you have had sleepless nights, and of course some issues which of course you could bring to counseling. If you feel you are struggling, you just need help as to bring up your issues, which Cornerstone Counseling Services is open, and you could talk to a counselor. You need to be aware of your emotions. You need to be aware so that you know exactly what is it that is causing you to be tearful. Why are you so tearful when you weren't before? Get in touch with your emotions. That could help. Some deep breathing exercises. They seem to be simple, but they are very helpful because they bring blood to the brain, to the frontal lobe, which helps you in decision making. So you need to do that. You need to have space. Give yourself some space. Especially the first few months when babies are born, they sleep. If you looked after them when you were pregnant, they sleep. So when babies are sleeping, especially the lady who had given herself, the labor, when she's going through, she needs a lot of time to rest. Make sure you've got some quiet music in the house. Give yourself some time, some space. And then, of course, time to worship and pray. That's really key. I know we didn't mention that, but of course it's very, very important. Pray together and also have your own devotional time where you can talk to God and spend time outdoors, get to where the trees are. It's quite healing, for that, get back to nature. And of course, laughter, talk about things that helps you, because laughter is medicine. It releases the happy hormones. The endorphins are released and it helps you. And, is really helpful. And also meet up with some members who maybe you've got friends who have just given birth and, they are going through motherhood or fatherhood. Connect with them and, share some experiences. Maybe there's something else that you can learn. And then the final thing, have a thought diary. Write up some of the things that you might be going through. And then when you have time together with your husband or with your wife, just share that to say, listen, for this past week, this is what I've been going through. I'm going through a very bad patch. Or maybe there's something that must have triggered, in your fatherhood or in your motherhood as something which you can talk together. And then, of course, you can pray together and then you can share. And if you feel you're still struggling, then you can bring your issues to our Center for Cornerstone Counseling Service, where we are most willing and helpful to listen to your issues which you bring to us.
So, sorry, just to quickly add, there's one thing that I found, one thing that I'm actually curious about, because you're talking about support in the church. Before I had children, or when I was pregnant, my whole idea of what was sold to me is that children are raised by a village. I don't get that village at all. I don't see the support network coming from nowhere. And I feel like when parents are, when it's a married couple, I don't know, I feel like, okay, you've got your husband or you've got your wife, you guys are okay. But when I shared my story, when I had postnatal depression, like nobody knew that. People were seeing me, but they had no idea what I was going through. Nobody asks questions. Nobody offers support. Nobody comes around. You don't even have to ask. Some people just turn up at your house and help, but nobody does that. And I find like the first couple of months are very crucial. People come and visit, and then when they come to visit, you feel. Well, I felt overwhelmed because I felt like I need to prepare for people to come, whereas it should be the other way around. But this is what I was expecting. This is what I would have expected to happen, especially within the Adventist community. People were there to support one another, not just bringing clothes or whatever, but physical support. And sometimes, like the postnatal depression might not kick in, or the issues with husband and relationship might not kick in because they actually have a proper support network.
That's a very key point, Rosanda, that you brought up. I know, my brother, you're going to sum up, but it's really key because I remember when you are bringing babies, like to baby dedication, the pastor always will say, you see all these people who are standing here, they're all supporting you. But then you find that when you go home, you never get that support. People just call you, but they don't visit you. I don't know, maybe it's the culture here. But as my brother, you've mentioned, in my African culture, we don't do that. We don't make appointments. People just come.
Yeah.
Especially the first 3 months when you've given birth, the mother needs to rest her body because what she's gone through is a lot. And if she doesn't get that help, can you imagine you've just given birth, the following week you are in the kitchen and you are cooking. You haven't rested. You need that rest. So I think it's very good that we've got this platform. And I believe the men and women and the elders and everybody else is listening so that, we're going to take it up from here. Because it does affect our mental state. When you're not still feeling well and you have to go in the kitchen. The other brother, I think Brother Isaac, when he was mentioning of what he was going through, I don't know whether the church members knew that he was really going through a hard patch in life, that he was even thinking of committing suicide. So we are each brother's keeper, and this is a very key point, Rosanda, that you brought up.
Sorry, Isaac, sorry. I actually went through postnatal depression very badly to the point I had suicidal thoughts. I wanted to walk out in front of a car, and my baby was months old. Nobody knew that. Nobody knew that, and it's a difficult thing. But I feel like the church doesn't support families, and it doesn't matter whether you're a single parent or you're a married parent. Everybody needs support. Sorry, there's a helicopter above. But yeah, go on, Liza.
Thank you for bringing that up.
It's interesting that the point's been raised actually by you, Rosanda, and Sister Krista. The church did know about me. I actually went to board and I asked for my name to be removed from the books because of the whole disfellowship thing. And I'm a person that's very accountable. I'm having premarital sex, guys. I'm going to be a father. Take me off books. When that happened and baby was around, they knew that I wasn't seeing my child. They knew that I was going through a nightmare. They knew I had to eventually go to court. I was offered absolutely no support. In fact, this was 2015 when my child was born. I went to them in January of 2015 to take my name off the books. So that's when I should have been disfellowshipped. They actually had the cheek to contact me and get me disfellowshipped the following January of 2016. So I was disfellowshipped for 2 years. For 2 years. That was the only time I got contacted, despite the fact that they knew I was going through court. They knew I had suicidal thoughts. So unlike Rosanda, and I'm glad you brought it up, Rosanda, because the whole community and the church, and this is why I stand by so many times when you've heard me say, I don't want to do church. I don't do church because I don't do church. When I say I don't do church, I mean, I don't live up to the facade of dressing in a suit and coming and acting as though we're holier than thou. No, let's be honest. Let's be real. The church is a place for the sick. Yeah, the church is a place for the sick, and we are not holier than anyone else. We know what is the right thing, so let's live up to that. If the right standard is to be Christ-like, then let's be loving, let's be kind, let's be those things. So hence why I say I don't do church. I don't want to live a facadical life. I want to be very honest. I want to be very true. So thank you, Rosanda, for sharing that, because I think people need to hear the truth. And thank you, Sister Krista, as well, for explaining what you've explained. And thank you.
Can I say something there?
10 minutes.
What Rosanda say, because it's so different. Because back home in Jamaica, when I had my two girls, I got the support. I could have gone to sleep and somebody come and take the baby. I got fully support from friends, neighbors, family. It was like a village. Sometimes I don't even know where my child is. And so when it's over here, I find it's so completely different, because my other child I have over here, I didn't get that support either. I was like, many days I was like, find myself emotionally crying and all of that, and going through postnatal depression like you too. I even went to doctor. They gave me diazepam to take because I was going, and I didn't take it because I didn't want to get addicted to it. And so that's it. When you come on to certain things, the church is not really like there for you. So I think that we need to look into these things where we are there, because as a church is like, Isaac said, it's a hospital. We all need to be loved or to share, or we all need of something. So I guess that the church needs to take a different stand when it comes on to all of us, even as single mothers, because maybe Rosanda had her husband, but me as a single mom, sometimes we don't really get that support from the church or from other people. And I think that's everybody's over here. I think because of the business, people think that, I think over here people are busy. They don't have no time for each other. We don't have no time for call. We don't have no time. But I think we need to spend time to share with each other and caring. And even this pandemic, I realized that, it's just a few people from the church who called me. They said, "Oh, Pauline, I saw you on platform," but they don't know who I am. Nobody called and said, "Oh, what you doing?" They saw me turn up for Sabbath school, or I'm on the platform for AY. But deep down, I would like somebody to call me and said, "Pauline, how you getting on? Talk to me." It's just a few people call. And so we need, as a church, to look after our brethren, our family. We are a family. And so we find out that the church is lacking in this area very much. So, and I can prove it in this pandemic. I said, it's like I'm a part of a church, and it's like I am not, because I don't get that support. I don't get that people reach out to us to ask her, how are you doing? How are you getting on? So I agree with Rosanna. We need to move away from this stigma what we're in and be there for each other as Christ, as Madishos. We need to care, share, and love each other.
Amen. Amen. We thank God that you have got this platform, the way forward now. And I think people have heard, and we just pray that we're going to take this to a further level, that there's going to be support from now on. Go on, Mr. Presenter. Okay. Go on, my brother.
Very much, everyone. Very much. Thank you all. I think before I let Jessica have a word, one of the things what I've noticed, and like you said, Sister Chrissy and Pauline, you said it has a lot to do with the culture. Now you would hear in church, Brother Leonard had an accident yesterday, and the family is requesting that you don't call.
Don't come.
I mean, it's like when you constantly having those kind of things, when you hear somebody ill, it's like, okay, I'm gonna wait until they come back to church, because it's like you expecting that part where you hear, okay, this person is ill. The family is requesting that you don't come, or you don't call, or this person is in hospital. We know when people in hospital and you passing by there, you're going to drop in, you're going to give a word of prayer, you're going to have a little chat with them during visiting hours or something. You're hearing, Brother X, Sister X is in hospital, and the family's requesting that nobody don't come to the hospital. And after a while, we become so immune to not saying anything, not visiting people, that we move away from the thing that the way that we should be. But I totally do understand what you're saying. And funny enough, Pauline, we are the people that actually do the visiting. So now that we're not visiting people, now who's going to visit us?
Yeah.
Because of time, we're going to have Jessica, and then I'm going to close us off. Jessica, please.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I think Rosanna will be happy I'm showing my face now. Basically, it's been a privilege. It's been an honor to put this project together. I think we didn't envisage it going this far. And I'm speaking on behalf of the health department. What we did think was maybe 2 sessions at best. But we've managed to unearth many issues that need to be addressed and addressed properly. Even with this finale, I think we've gone over time a little bit. So I do apologize to the Brixton media team. But it was necessary. No, Leonard, please let me finish. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Just to say that because this has been sort of a conversation that does need to still continue, even post this series, we will probably propose working with the men's ministries department and the women's ministries, any other department that's open to working with the health department, to put a forum together. A separate forum, maybe for men and for women, moving forward, where we can address certain issues, but also maybe come together as a church family and address issues as a church family, where we can better support each other. Better support yourselves first. You have to be able to support yourself first, and then support each other, maybe as men supporting men, women supporting women, but also cross that barrier as well, where men support women better. It doesn't have to be your spouse. And for those who have never had counselling, we're frightful about counselling. This was actually an introduction to counselling. So group therapy is very much a form of counselling. So if you've not done that before and you found this therapeutic, I found it therapeutic even just watching you all speak and listening to you all speak. It's made me challenge some thoughts that I had as well. So I thank you for your transparency. So if you do feel the need to go for counselling, please, by all means, contact Cornerstone Counsellors. You can get counselling by your GP. Rosanda, you touched on postnatal depression, promising you here on air that we will do a session on postnatal depression, just to tackle that a little bit more, because a lot of women go through that and it's not fully addressed, and even affects men as well, especially partners of women who go through it. So we will do that. And on behalf of the health department, I thank every single person who has been involved in this project. Too many to mention, and I know some of them couldn't make it tonight. And we are looking forward to working together as a church family to bring more series towards you, to your way, and hopefully as we learn to do better, we also unlearn habits, but teach the younger generation to not just be better, but also do better. And we move forward positively. So thank you very much for this great series, and we pray for more to come with God's guidance. So Leonard, over to you to close.
Man.
Thank you very much, Jessica. I want to thank everyone who has participated. Today we did not have with us JL and Alethea as promised, and Joy, Angela, Sister Baldo, Petrian, Roland, but we miss them very much, and we're happy for the participation that they have given us in the last couple of weeks.
You miss Adam.
Sorry? Adam. Sorry, yes, Adam. How could I forget Adam? But before I say continue to say thank you to all these people, I must say thank you to the person who was the producer and writer and the brain behind this program, the person who decided, you know what, I have an idea. She grabbed onto myself, she grabbed onto Isaac, she says, listen, I have an idea, I want to push you two guys forward, this is what I want, how could you best put this forward? And I really enjoyed working with her. She did not command her thoughts. She said, these are my thoughts. Let's come together and see how we can make this a program. And every week she would contact us, guys, how you doing? Okay, how are we doing? Can we change this? Do you want to change that? Do you want to add? And Jessica, we are grateful. The church and every one of us that are on the panel are saying thank you very much. I know this is not the last of your ideas and plans, but thank you.
Well said.
Isaac?
Yes.
Leonard, I'll pay you after this goes off. Yeah.
I know that's not. I know she's good. She's Sister Chrissy. Could you please have a word with Jessica? She's not happy with that I'm doing this, and I know she's gonna want to fight. So please have a word with her after. That pain is what she's talking about. Isaac.
Yes, sir.
Could you please take this opportunity, sir, to say thank you to the PA team?
Yes, for sure. So I want to second everything that Leonard's just said. For sure, it has been a very good program. It's been one that's gone from strength to strength. And I definitely want to thank the PA team for bearing with us throughout the weeks, for making sure that we can go live to on Facebook and YouTube. I personally have had great feedback about this series, and that's a lot of the people have asked me for the recordings. Those recordings wouldn't have been possible without the PA team. So the media team from Brixton, we thank you all. Definitely, it's been a great joy, and something that like Leonard said, without the thoughts of Jess, without God first and foremost, without God implementing the thought and then also carrying this through, none of this would have come together. So again, I'm going to second what Leonard just said, and I definitely want to thank everyone that's been involved, all those that aren't here today. Leonard, I want to thank you as well, sir. I want to thank you for being such a great co-host. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure working with you. So yes, sir. Thank you all. And thanks again to the PA team, to Jess, and most importantly, thank you, God, for allowing this to happen.
Amen.
So, thank you very much, Isaac. Sister Chrissy, thank you. Sister Chrissy, thank you very much. You've been a great inspiration to us. When Jessica told us that you were coming, I was somewhat happy, because I'm thinking in the end of this, we're going to need somebody to put a whole and to bring everybody back together and to give us a good wrapping up. Besides the banter, we're going to need somebody who's going to come from a professional point of view and to steer us in the right direction. So thank you very much. Thank you, Brother Maluba, for having us, loaning us your wife for the couple of hours. Brother and sister Rosanda and Rolly, thank you very much. Sister Pauline, Brother Roger, Brother Melvin, and all the others who are not here. Natalie, thank you very much for your inputs. I'm sure that there are people out there who are very happy and have learned. I have learned, and I know that the next person that I'm going to be having children with, she got a lot coming our way. I can tell you, listen, my ex had it real good because my son was with me all the time. So she had it real good, but I've learned a lot and I'm grateful. Thank you very much, Isaac. Thank you very much. Together we have hold this fort. Everyone, once again, thank you very much to our viewers. I know there are a lot of you out there who has been with us week after week, and you've been giving us your comments and support and letting us know where we went well, where you want us to go the next week. And because of you, we went to part 3 and 4 because Sister Jessica, we were ready to wrap it up. And the supporters were like, no, we want part 3, we want part 4. So thank you very much to our viewers. And if you have learned anything and if you have ideas of things you want us to come with, please contact myself, contact Isaac, contact Jessica, or anyone here in the panel, and we can come together and bring a program in which would be of help to you. Without further ado, I know that the PA team has been very, very patient with us, so I'm going to go ahead and just close off in prayer.
I think before you close in prayer, because we've got a lot of issues that we brought up here, so we just want to shake, those trauma out. So if we can all stand and then just shake, shake it out. Just shake before we close. If you can all stand and then just shake it out. Just shake it. Shake. Get it out. Take it out. Yeah, that's it. Shake it out. Yeah. So next time we meet, just ask me what that does to the body, and I'll explain why we do that after we speak about our issues. That's good. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sister Chrissy. Now, without further ado, I would like to ask the Lord's blessing upon this program and upon every one of us. Heavenly Father, we are indeed grateful. We've had a good journey. Now that we have told the women and the men had the opportunity to tell each other about their journey and how they can help each other to become better, I ask, oh God, as you have heard and you have seen, even before our journeys had begun, I ask, oh God, that you guide us in ways in which we can become better fathers and mothers to our children, to our community, and to our church at large. I want to thank you very much for Sister Chrissy, who have come with her expertise and to guide us in the way where we can go and have further help. Thank you very much for Sister Jessica, who have masterminded this program along with myself and Isaac and all the other people on the panel. I want to thank you in a special way for our supporters, those people who have been there, and especially those who are in the audience and are saying to themselves, I wanted to hear this. I needed to hear this. And if ever they need help in whatever way, in any of the scenarios that they've heard in this program, I pray that they'll be able to make contact with Jessica or Sister Chrissy, where they can have further help. I ask as we leave here, God, be with our homes, be with every home and every family represented here today. And oh God, as your coming hastens, I pray that we become close. So Lord, there's a very important point that was raised tonight. Persons are saying that they do not feel the connection from the brethren. I ask, oh God, that you would come divinely close to us and help us to understand that we cannot come closer to you if we cannot be close to each other who are right here. Help us, oh God, to reach to that place where we realize that you said, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Do unto others like you would have them to do unto you. We have times when we're going to be lonely and we're going to want somebody to come and to give aid. So help us to do the same in return. I thank you once again for your loving mercy and for keeping this program as such a success. In your precious name, I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Until
you.
next time.
Bye, Jess.
Until next time, everyone.